And yeah, so now we're going to click it, and I think we are live.
Nah.
Yes, we are live. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for. I think this is probably going to be the final live interview, at least that I'm going to do this year. And sorry, just hearing myself there, which is never good.
Oh no.
we are live. As I was telling you guys, I always get stressed when I have to go live just in case anything happens. But this is probably going to be the final live interview that I'm going to do for this year. So I'm delighted to be joined by 4 wonderful people who made 3 wonderful games. Well, first of all, I am delighted to be joined by William and Daniel of Silvernode Studios, who made Noir Lives. So how are you guys doing?
Good, not too bad. Hey, we released, we're happy. So yeah, we're just relaxing now. We're enjoying the no more stress.
Easy life.
How long does it take after release? Like, because I released like in October and I'm not relaxed yet. So how long is it before the relaxation?
Maximum 2 years. I don't think it'll be long.
Okay.
I released in August and I'm still reeling from the experience.
It's not for everybody, eh?
Well, the 2 other people you heard were Tom Hardwidge, who's the developer of Lucy Dreaming, also released earlier this year. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
I love your Christmas hat. I have the Christmas jumper as well.
A Christmas hat that doesn't know if it's part of the foreground or part of the background. It's
still
weird.
hasn't decided.
It lives in kind of 4-dimensional space. It just doesn't really know what it's doing.
We met just recently at Adventure X, so it's great to see you again. And as I said, this was mainly your idea. So thank you for suggesting this.
Wait until the end.
We'll see how this goes. It'll probably be a bit chaotic, but we'll embrace the chaos. And also joined by Pontus Wittenmark of Warm Kitten Studios, who released this year as well. I think I know the name of the game now. Justin Wack and the Big Time Hack.
Boom! Finally.
What have you been calling it up until now?
Different things.
I think I talked to you maybe like 3 or 4 times, and I think this is the first time you got it on the first attempt.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the only time I'm going to get the name right. No, but it's great to have all of you guys here, and congratulations on releasing your games, because now I'm very, very serious. I have never made a game, but from what I've heard from you guys about making games, that releasing an adventure game, releasing any game is itself an achievement. And now if the game is good, then that's like a miracle.
I think in some respects it would take more guts and work to release it if it's bad, because you would be even more nervous.
The goodness is a very subjective term. Like
that is true.
Even now, and I say even now, like 2 months after releasing, I'm having, like, on an hourly basis, it changes as to whether I'm delighted or just catastrophically depressed. It depends on what review I've read.
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
What adjective in a review that I've just obsessed over. Oh my God, they said it was a bit pedestrian, and I'm like, oh my God, what does that even mean? So it's something I just.
But the score could be 9 out of 10, and maybe the one criticism might be at times, or maybe this moment is a bit pedestrian, and that's what you focus on.
There's like 20 paragraphs of how good it is, But I know exactly what you're saying. You read a review, and you sort of the negative stuff stands out. But the thing is, it's because and what this has done is this has given me a much clearer idea of how easy it is to judge something, and not take into account the effort behind it, because we've spent so much time in it. And the first month, I think, when the reviews came out, every review that comes out, you sort of read it, but you read it like quickly just to get the gist, and then you read it slowly if it's positive.
He actually asked me to read all the reviews first, and then only if they were good to pass them on to him.
But I'm happy to say that the reviews for all your games have been, I'd say mostly positive. I haven't read any negative reviews of any of your games. Yeah, well, I know that sometimes I read reviews because you guys were sharing it on Twitter. But also, before we continue, just to people watching live, I think we've a few minutes. If you are watching us live, hello everyone. First of all, there will be some giveaways of these very kind people have very kindly, I'm saying kind a lot, but have very kindly agreed to give some giveaways, but it's not going to be that easy. You're going to do a little bit of work. You're going to have to go on the Steam page of these games and find out. We're going to ask questions throughout this interview, throughout this hour, or maybe a little bit longer, but I'll try not to keep you too long. And whoever gets the answer first in the live chat will win a copy of one of these games. So we will do it first. So you will have a chance to win a free copy of, I'm going to call it Justin Wack, Lucy Dreaming, and 9 Noir Lives. So get those, get ready on the keyboard. We will say when we will be there. Yeah, so we will put a link to the store on the Steam pages as well in the live chat. If you join us afterwards, well, look, we can we'll see what we can do, but we'll see. So, so before we get to a giveaway, we'll give some more people a chance. Hello to people joining us live. I believe Christopher Chu, hello. Kinney Games, hello. Will, he's also working on a really good-looking game. Signal and Echo. Iris is missing. I played a demo after Adventure X. I really enjoyed that, and I'd really encourage you guys to play it as well. It's a old school typing game. You actually type, but it feels modern as well. Olivier, hello, and Jim Hughes, hello. So if you are joining us, feel free to say hi, and most importantly of all, make sure you get the answers in for the giveaway. So we were talking about reviews, releasing the games, because I know, Tom, when we spoke, it was on the day of release. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or
I think it was again, yeah, it kind of swung both ways. It was a really good idea, and then it was a really awful idea when it was just about to happen. And then while I was chatting to you, it was brilliant because it was really cathartic, and it gave me a bit of a break because I've just been, like I was sort of saying earlier, just obsessing about the minutiae of releasing a game, and actually having a bit of a time to just chat about bollocks was really welcome, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's so because I know when I spoke to Silvernode, the guys from Silvernode Studios, I think before, when I had already played an early access version, and then Pontus, I think we spoke around the same time that you released your game as well. So I suppose, I guess the first question is, just how do you guys feel? We started speaking about that now that you've released the game and put it out there. Is it now relaxing, or are you still nervous, when you read comments about the game on Steam or reviews as well? Or just how does it feel that you are now officially adventure game developers, that you've released a game?
It feels weird to have someone call you an adventure game developer.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Just that a second ago, it's like, that feels weird.
I don't feel like I'm a game developer, even though I've literally made and published a game.
So you are, like it or not.
It's just like a thing that we did, and it's different from a real game, even though it very much is a real game, and it's hard to reconcile that feeling. Actually, it's quite interesting, but it feels good to be done.
The first 2 weeks after release, I was just thinking, okay, because we spent a lot of time testing the game, and I was just waiting for, the House of Quartz to fall. Oh, there's a game-breaking bug here, and people can't finish it, and and it's all tied up. But it all worked out because we did proper testing, and it was all fine. But I think now we're starting to relax a bit. I'm not every day going looking at the Steam stuff, and and this is now, I think, month 3, and it's satisfying, but it's also, you put yourself in a very vulnerable space because you put out something that you've invested so much of yourself, and it's nice to see the good stuff. And luckily for us, it was mostly good. There's now and then there is a bit of negative stuff, but that's just part of it. But it's very satisfying, to have made this thing that people enjoy.
Yeah, I reached the point about a week or so ago when I would log into Steam, and there's the little notifications thing. So the whole of Steam is kind of a dark dark grey, dark blue,
and that
except
little green, bloody
bright green.
envelope. Yeah.
And when you log in, and you kind of, your eye catches the fact that there's this light green, you think, oh god, there's a notification. How many notifications are there? What have people discovered? What's gone wrong?
Happened? What's gone wrong?
And I've now reached that point, like about a week or so ago, where I'm logging in consistently day after day, and there's no green. And like the last green was like, oh, someone's invited you to be their friend on Steam. It's like, yay! That's a legitimate notification.
One day I logged on and I saw 10, and I just about had a heart attack. But I'd just been playing a game the day before, and it was just all of the cards that you get or whatever. Oh, I nearly died.
I did a live stream with trolls with Space Quest Historian recently, and he kind of, as he was kind of sharing his screen, I saw his Steam. He was logged in his Steam, and it had this little notification, and he doesn't check his notifications. So there's like 80 or something like that, and it just triggered me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god! it's somebody else's screen, but it's still just giving a cold sweat.
I had a similar situation even after launch. Like I didn't look at those because I didn't really understand that was something you were supposed to focus on. My eyes never really went to that place. And then it was several days after release, I saw, holy moly, there's a community on the actual Steam page.
Yeah, because you don't get notifications by default. I just happened on the day I released, I just happened to look, and on the day of release, I'm guessing there was probably something wrong. So someone happened to send a notification. I saw it and went, oh, that's weird. I didn't get a notification. I should probably check on that regularly. And it's like, I'm so glad I did, because so many other developers I've spoken to have said, oh, we're 3 weeks in, we thought it was all good. And then we came in and realized that everyone's slagging us off in the community because we're not responding. It's like, well,
the same
why
thing
you
here.
don't get a notification?
It was on Discord. Someone pointed it out on Discord. Like, there's a lot of buzz going on there. You should probably answer some of those. And I took a look, and it was like, holy moly, I got bug there, and I got to answer this thing, and yada yada. So it was, I missed a lot.
The Steam forums is like high school all over again, right? If you don't show up to the events, people immediately jump to conclusions and start saying, well, I guess it's a dead game, abandoned game, dev doesn't care. Meanwhile, you're like, I just had to go buy something.
Yeah, no, as I said, I haven't released any games, but the odd time we would get reviews on the podcast, and even that can be kind of terrifying. Like, oh my god, first of all, people are listening to this. Secondly, like, oh, I and now they've all been really good, but there was one review that was only 3 stars, and it was still positive. They were very nice. They said it's a very nice idea, it's really good, I'm really enjoying it, but the one thing is there are some sound issues, and this was towards the beginning of the podcast, and I think the episode that they had listened to was with my first interview with the Coles, Corey and Laurie Cole. And I forgot, I plugged in, my microphone, but sound wasn't going to my microphone with my webcam. So
it doesn't matter what you do. As soon as you're doing something that you're doing something creative, you're creating something, and you instinctively you are putting something of yourself into that. As soon as you put it out there, generally speaking, the creative community respect that and will be kind about that. But
and
sometimes
this person was nice, but it was kind of like
at least it's kind of constructive, and that's why I'm trying. It's hard, but you try and focus it and go, well, I'll build that into the next game, or that's really good, constructive, or and and you have to, but you have to kind of respond as well to. And obviously, I actually had my first negative review on Steam a couple of days ago, and it wasn't, and it didn't have any real kind of substance to it. And my instinct is to respond and go and just try and be diplomatic. And when you go to kind of look at the comments on Steam goes, yeah, you don't want to. Just don't are you the developer? Just don't respond. Like, this is not how it's done.
Yeah.
If you do that, it'll open the floodgates, and then it's just hell and pain and just not worth it.
Because part of you just wants to say, oh, if I can just make them see X, Y, Z, they understand. But the thing is, some people, it's just not the game for them. End of story. Nothing you say or do can change that.
It's probably best just to read it.
also, sorry, Pontus. Some of the negative comments are also weird. You know, we had some weird stuff that doesn't make sense. Like the guy, he played, I think, like 2 minutes.
Yeah, these people.
He was upset that it was a point and click. You know, I was like, guy. You know, so it's always a hit or miss. You know.
Yeah, but, and they're always the vocal ones. They're the ones who will kind of go, yeah, it was shit. It's like I much prefer first person shooters.
Well,
not a lot I can do about that.
I mean, I think my favorite quote unquote negative review we got was before release, which was just someone who posted on the forums all caps and just said cringe, and that was it. That was it. And then, like a month later, deleted the post. So who knows what was going on?
Yeah, that's a bit harsh. Before the game is even released. Although, well, we could talk a little bit about, very briefly about some of the reaction to screenshots from Monkey Island, if you wish, because I'm curious to know what you think. I don't want to focus on that. Wow. But sorry, Pontus, you were going to say something. If you remember.
I was probably something very profound
and enlightening.
So pretend that we
pretend that it was really profound.
You make a good point.
But I was going to say that I had the same situation with the mic as you had, that you didn't plug it in on an actual voice acting session, a whole session. Like I had this a friend who did a lot of voice acting for the game, and I had rigged up this really good mic, and I was sitting in front of him with a computer and everything, and I plugged in sometimes just to sanity check what was going on, and it sounded good, but then I could hear that it was recording from the computer mic. I forgot to actually.
I did that for our demo as well. I got. We recorded probably about a third of the stuff, the third of the voices for the demo, before I realised that the Audacity was defaulting to the webcam mic rather than the actual mic. Yes. And then I'm turning it round. I think it doesn't seem to get any better. Even if you're outside the room, it's the same. I don't understand.
My first idea was I forgot to draw the blinds on the window. Could that be that huge effect? Maybe I'm super audio blessed that I can hear these things so well. And then it was okay, how do I say this to the guy? Do I make up something I didn't draw the blinds on the so the reflections all everywhere, or do I just come clean?
I feel that in game development, every single aspect of creating the game goes through some stage of an equivalent of that, where you do something monumentally stupid, and then you learn from it, and you go, oh right, next time my workflow will be a lot better. But this is I'll just have to make do and patch it, and kind of and just whether it's the artwork or the development or the audio or whatever it is, there's something kind of go. It's all for me. It's been just a huge learning curve, and I've just made so many stupid mistakes along the way, and then at the end of it, I'll come out of it and go, I could probably cobble something together next time.
Well, I think I was going to say we need to stress as well that all of these three games are your first games that you've released. So if we go back to even the most famous people like Ron Gilbert, his first adventure game, Tim Schafer, Jane Jensen, Seoirse, and but I think they're fantastic adventure games, not just for first adventure games, but in any case as well. But I think that's when you say made mistakes, that it's kind of because. I mean, this is your first time literally releasing games, so
yeah, there won't be any mistakes in the next game at all.
Absolutely not.
Smooth all the way.
So easy the next time. I mean, probably 2-3 weeks max.
Absolutely, it'll be like
it naturally makes itself, right? You don't even have to do anything.
Well, Darren Bell in the chat said you point and click in FPS games too, which is, that's...
in many ways, point and click is the genre, isn't it? I mean, back in caveman times, people would point at things and click sort of with their spears.
Well, go back in Wack.
It's very fundamental. It's fundamental to our human psyche and who we are. I don't know.
They would click with their spears. I like it.
But talking about how easy the second game is, I mean, Noir Lives took us 5 years because we worked part-time and whatnot. But I mean, the first 2 years of that, that was all William at that time. And I mean, he's even said he basically has learned so much. By the end of the first 2 years, he redid it because he couldn't work with it anymore because he was so much better than he'd been at the start. He's like, no, this is all wrong. Redid all of his variables, all of the everything, just all redone in the first 2 years, and that's when it really started moving forward as what became the final product.
I recognize that.
When people look at games as it is for first-time developers, and you see the game, you think it went from nothing to that. It didn't. It went through. I mean, I remember we had initially like this weird stick figure floating across the screen, and then we implemented the voices, but then it was just like flappy mouth, and we had to figure out how to do actual lip syncing. So we did that, and Cuddles' walk was very awkward. It looked like he was, he had some sort of spinal injury. So we had to redo the walk cycle, and it's all these little improvements, and eventually you end up with the thing that you feel is presentable. But it's a road, hey? It's a road if it's your first time. It's not easy.
I'm looking forward to where it, like, even when I start another game, opening like a completely new document and starting it in the way that I've learned that next one. By the end of it, being exactly the same situation where I go, the next time I'm not going to start it like that. I'm going to start it like this. And like each time, it's going to be different.
Past me was an idiot. I mean, next time that's what I'm going to do.
He didn't know what he was doing.
Well, now before we go to the first question, just wanted to talk Kinney Games as well. Yes, it was your game as well, Will Signal and Echo, and he shared on his Twitter page a very weird review that his demo got. It was positive, but it was from, I don't know if you guys heard of Caw guy.
I've not heard of that before. No,
I had never, and apparently he's on Reddit or something.
4chan meme or something that, it's basically.
And it was one of the weirdest. He mentioned oh, journalism, he says easy, Caw. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Are you making fun of journalism? But it was a thumbs up, and even for Noir Lives, again, it was positive. But one of the quote-unquote criticisms, it said that the game was too short, and then it said plus 10 hours.
I saw that one. It's like 10 hours.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
how short.
But there was a guy who thought the game was too big for its length. He's like, why is it 5 gig if it's only 10 hours? And I was like, what are you what? That was a very unusual one.
But it brings up a good discussion point, value versus money, because I mean, we're not I think we're $20 for a 10 to 12 hour game. I mean, I don't think it's excessive, but it shows you people connect different monetary value to the expectation.
Well, I mean, for me, like 10 plus hours now is long because I don't have a huge amount of free time, but I love shorter games now that I can finish them. And actually, your game, Noir Lives, took me, I think, 18 hours to complete, probably longer. Now, I was clicking on everything and clicking twice, and I know I was, this is going to sound weird, but at least the two of you guys will understand, I was licking everything. It makes sense. You play the cat, there's a lick option in the game, and it's very funny.
He wasn't just licking things in his room or something.
But I just thought that was very strange. But we could talk a little bit more about that. But shall we get on to the first giveaway? And before we get on to your games, Tom Green, the developer of Unknown Number, a first-person talker, has very kindly agreed to give free code to one lucky winner. But first I'm going to play a trailer, and I'm going to go through the Steam page to see if there is a question that I can ask. I might be asking a question from the trailer or from the Steam page. We shall see. So get your typing ready. Would you guys like to see a trailer for, first of all, Unknown Number, if I can play it?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right, well, I
first
the YouTube link to see that.
I'm going to share my screen.
Share on there, right?
You called it a first-person caller.
Yes.
That's an interesting genre.
It's really, really good game. I would highly recommend. I have played it. I had a huge amount of fun with it. But here is the trailer. Now, in this trailer, you're going to hear a voice and see a girl playing it. So she's not part of the team. She's not part of the game. Someone playing it. So it shows how you play the game. And then parts of the gameplay as well. So I think it's best to explain it, through the video, through the trailer, and you can listen to it as well if you're listening to this on audio afterwards. So if this goes well, here is a trailer for Unknown Number, a first-person talker.
I am in this hand! So do I open the voicemail?
Up already. We're stuck in the boat at the base of the ridge. We need you to call 01595
01595 434 666.
Welcome to Sligoil Security Systems.
Please say the passphrase.
Oil?
Which officer would you like to give an order to?
Officer Walters. Oh my god. I do solemnly pledge to sacrifice all that I am. I can't believe I just said that. Cross on one. I've got you here, Sligo. The crew must be staring straight at me. Oh my god, it changes every time! Ah! I really don't want to sing. Laura had a little lamb. What?
This is a transmission from the Metropolitan Police.
Do I want to get in with the police?
Let's talk about my money.
Yeah, which we stole. I can't tell if you're good or bad. Oh, if this is Morse code, flaming hell.
2.5 minutes to go.
I will. How? Oh no, don't die! Oh my gosh, get on the phone!
It's $1 billion. Please say you got it.
You want me involved and then you hang up on me. This is a toxic relationship. You're gonna come back begging for more. I know you are. Yeah. I'll work you right out.
So, do you guys see and hear that okay?
Yeah. How is that only... I've just checked the Steam page. It's only got 15 reviews.
I know.
That looks amazing.
It is amazing. And again, I am not, as I said, I am not, involved in that game at all, but I loved it. I played it. And, that girl, that was kind of me. I was, you go through all the emotions in the game. It's like, it's kind of very stressful at times because they're calling you. They're like, we're about to die here. You need to do this. And but it's a huge amount of fun. It's very, very funny as well. You heard the voice acting.
How long is it? How long is it?
A few hours. That didn't take me too long. I think it took me about 4 or 5 hours or something. But
it's a lot of work.
Looking
at how different each of those sort of scenarios is.
Very impressive.
In there.
There is a huge variety in puzzles as well. As you saw in the trailer, you heard that you have to maybe sing. There's a music. Now the puzzles are most of them are relatively easy. But it's the point isn't really the puzzle. It's using your voice, like you have to imitate a woman.
Interesting.
Unless you're a woman, presumably.
If you're a woman, it shouldn't be too difficult. But if you're like me, and you do test, see how can you get your voice like this? Now that's not like a woman.
That was a woman.
Yeah.
From the Monty Python school of women.
Yes. That's where I do my female version. Apologies to anyone listening or watching for that. But I had to do something like that, and there is such variety, and I had such amount of fun playing that game. So there is one code available to one lucky winner. I don't. Should I? I was thinking when I was watching the trailer. Should I ask a question from the trailer and the Steam page, or is that mean? Is that? See who's really paying attention.
Well, the trailer's on the Steam page as well, isn't it? I suppose if you're asking people to come up with, be the first person in the chat to do it, then you're asking
Steam
people
page.
to leave the podcast and then come back.
That is true.
So you don't want them I'd say you don't want them
that. I was trying. That is true. I was thinking, but for the trailer, no, I'll just stick to the Steam page. So, So on the Steam page, actually, I should really put it into the live chat.
Control-F.
Thank you, Tom. So this is for people watching live. That is a link to the Steam page for Unknown Number, and the question is, just want to make sure you can find it. That it is. Oh yes.
Are you going to ask the question in the woman voice?
That's me. But do it. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that again.
How much money?
No, go on. No, do it.
I'll ask it twice. Okay, so how much money are they trying to steal? For anybody who didn't get that, how much money are the characters in the game trying to steal? There are two eco warriors who we saw in the trailer and heard in the trailer. They're trying to steal a certain amount of money. How much
my
money?
answer is in the chat of our own personal chat, rather.
Oh, okay.
Just in case no one else gets it, I want to.
Our private chat.
Really
Whoever
awesome.
gets it first in the chat on YouTube will get a free code to this really, really good game. So again, it's how much money are they looking to steal? And the answer is on the Steam page. Now, if nobody gets the answer, well, then I guess, Tom, you might get the game.
That would make me so happy because it looks so good. In fact, actually, you know what? I think you should get. Bearing in mind they've only got 15 reviews, and I know that the currency of game.
Yeah, I should put the review as well.
Reviews, I will purchase it and give them a proper review because that's how it should be done.
That algorithm is a brutal mistress.
Oh my life! Especially if you've had a Kickstarter campaign and you're like the first kind of 600 or whatever most engaged players
aren't going to count. Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
So far we have nobody who's entered in the YouTube chat. So
okay. But you can find the answer on the page, right? Not in the trailer.
I think we have a winner.
Okay.
Kinney Games he put the answer as $7 billion. Is that correct, Tom?
That's what I found.
It is indeed correct. They're looking to steal $7 billion from the world's most notorious oil baron. And now there is a reason for that, which we'll find out in the game itself. So, but yeah, thank you so much. There will be more chances to win now your games as well. Later on, we'll have questions as well. So well done, Kinney. I will send you the code after this interview. But stick around because there will be a chance you can still win a copy of Noir Lives, Justin Wack, and Lucy Dreaming if you stick around. So, yeah, where were we? I suppose we were talking about the value that people put on games. So I suppose, what do you guys think about the length of games? Now that you've made games, you've released games, adventure games, what do you guys think of it? Should adventure games be a certain length in order to, I don't know, to be worth a certain amount, or is it more quality? Kind of 3, 4, 5 hour game be worth $20 or even $40? Do you think so?
One of the things that I found. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, Karen, don't.
Who wants to go? Daniel, were you going to say something as well?
Oh no, I was just thinking, because for example, if I think of the stuff I play, like when I play like an Ubisoft game, it's towers, it's icons, but it's purely to turn my brain off. It's not actually to engage with the game. The game is just a backdrop to me doing something else, watching a show or listening to music or whatever. And the longer that is, the better, because then it's the same monotonous thing. But as soon as you're talking about story and you want to be engaged, then I think not necessarily shorter is better, but I don't know if I would make it through, say, a 30-hour narrative heavy game, because it's too much focus. I haven't got the time to come back and remember what. So in those situations, 5 to 10 hours, that's the sweet spot for me.
That being said, Daniel is playing Disco Elysium right now.
Oh, wow.
I think that's a special case. 10-hour mark.
That's a special case. That's like, I could go on about that game. It's incredible. I feel depressed because I'll never write anything as good as that. It's just unbelievable. I never want it to end. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think Disco Elysium is one of these rare narrative games that it's about 40 hours, but it doesn't feel, it doesn't feel too long, because usually after 8-10 hours of a narrative game, I am thinking, okay, they're kind of padding it a little bit. But this game, 40 hours, and there's no padding in it. There's no
incredible
section that I would remove.
Incredible. I don't know how much work it must have taken to do. I mean, apparently it's got 1 million words, and it shows, but they're all incredible.
I don't know yet. Tom, were you going to say something?
I'm in this sort of position where I am catastrophically bad at playing adventure games. So I don't think I've ever. When I started
I know the
making
feeling.
one, I started making a game, and people would say, "Oh, well, maybe somewhere between kind of 6 to 8 hours. That's a kind of a decent game." And I'm there thinking, I don't remember ever finishing an adventure game in less than kind of 3 months. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like solid play, but I because it was always split over such a long period of time. I had no idea how long. And I never really used Steam. Okay, so a bit of background. I stopped playing games when I was kind of in my late teens, and then I've kind of started making games, but I've missed out. I've got my whole kind of adventure game education kind of stopped in like the kind of late 90s. So I'm kind of coming from that point where I had no idea how long I was playing a game for. Could be 6 months, could be a year, it could be a few weeks. I don't know. And now I've got to kind of learn what. Like if you're putting out a game, how long it should take, how to test that, and there are people playing my game. Some people have completed it in 6 or 7 hours. Some people have taken 30 or 40 hours. It depends on how, it's a very difficult thing to judge. But it seems to be from a kind of completely objective opinion that I wouldn't use my own ability at playing adventure games as a benchmark for measuring how long it takes to complete one. So based on testing, it seems that somewhere between 6 hours and 10 hours is that's somewhere in there, gives you a kind of a decent game, and then obviously your price point will depend on that. So if you're kind of near the 10 hour mark, you're kind of nearer $19-20. If you're at the kind of the 5 or 6 mark, you're maybe at kind of $13-14 or something like so that sort of. And I suppose that's where you then have to start thinking about your kind of your price point. But I found when I put in, going back to kind of what we were talking about with the reviews and the length of the game and how those tie together, some of my worst reviews have been on when I released a Jam game on Android, fine on iOS, fine on Steam. On Android, it was kind of it was open to everyone, and there aren't a lot of adventure games on Android, so it doesn't have that kind of same adventure game community that kind of rally around it. It was a Jam game. It was free. It was it was about 45 minutes, an hour long maybe, and also the demo for Lucid Dreaming as well was similar length and on there as well. And most of the non kind of 5-star reviews were 3 or 4 stars, and they were like, loved it, brilliant, really, really great to see a point and click game. Bit short, and it's like, it's free. It was like it kept you entertained for over an hour.
Yeah.
It was free, but it's that kind of complete disconnect that people have with game developers, and I think they assume, a lot of people, especially when they've not part of the adventure game community, which is much more aware compared to a lot of other communities, that not every single game is churned out by a giant studio, and it's not there just to make money. It is there because the person who made it has a passion for it and wanted to make it. And as soon as I engage people in the reviews and say, oh, like actually, you know what? If you gave me a 5-star review, then it's going to help support my studio. I can make more games. I'd really love to make a full-length version. And then 9 times out of 10, they'll go, oh, brilliant. And they feel engaged and they feel that they've had a connection. But I think automatically a lot of them assume that connection is never going to be there. So they just kind of go, it's a currency. It's just, they can leave a bad review and go, nah, that was the thing I didn't like. It wasn't perfect because it was a bit short. It's like,
well,
it was a free game. What do you expect?
That is incredible. I think there was I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Serena from Agustin Cortez. It was again a free game, 1 hour. And I think someone then played the game and then wrote that, oh, it's only 1 hour. That's 1 hour. And it's like, it's free, and it's good. But Pontus,
they want long free games. That's what they want.
Yeah. How hard is it to make a AAA free game, 40 hours long, multiple genres? I mean, game developers are just lazy. That's
absolutely. And
it builds itself, right?
And we want it now. And if there's any delay on the release date, you guys are evil. It's.
But
I must say though, we delayed about 400,000 times, I think, and all we got every time was just people saying, "Yep, look, I haven't lost anything. The game wasn't out, and it's still not out. You guys take the time that you need," which was great because we delayed it, ended up like 3 years in total. I think it was crazy.
But what this has done for me personally is that I've got a lot more leeway for developers, because I get it. I've now seen how the cake is made, so when there's release dates or when things aren't perfect, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's people behind it, especially if it's an indie studio, even a sole developer, I mean, it's game development it's so many disciplines to pull together in one product as a small team or as an individual. It's nearly impossible. I mean, if you think about it, all the disciplines that you have to master to put a product together, and even a multi-hour product. I mean, when we made the game, we never set out to make a 10-hour plus game. I mean, the first time we played it and I saw, okay, the quick playthrough is about 4 hours. I was surprised by that. And, for us, the length was a byproduct of the story, because me and Daniel, we often would debate and he would say, no, but this is needed for the story. And I would say, but that would add like 3 months of dev time, and that's why our stuff got pushed, because we did it. And I think that's maybe...
Hey, it's not my fault.
Well,
it's all your fault, Daniel.
That's all I say. Bartholomew's safe. But and that's the thing, so I think for us, the length of the game doesn't really matter that much, as long as it's not padding, as long as it serves the story. It can be a 5-hour story, and if I feel satisfied at the end of those 5 hours, I'm happy to pay $20. It's the experience I'm buying. But I mean, there are some games where you feel that the game was cut short. It didn't get the proper ending that it needed. It didn't properly land the ending. It did a disservice to everything else, and that's also maybe the realities of game development. Because
if it feels rushed, if
back then felt like that to me. The ending felt like came out of nowhere. Was rushed. Yes, very confusing.
Yeah, no, because sometimes if a game feels rushed, that it goes towards the end, like, does a Game of Thrones season 8, and it's like, oh wait, hang on a second. But which was an issue with your game, Noir Lives. And hey, speaking of Noir Lives and free games, would we first of all, I will put a link to the Steam page of Noir Lives in the chat. So again, get ready, people. Now, I think I'll play a trailer. I know you guys, William and Daniel, have probably seen this trailer and seen parts of the game a million times. But for people watching, because your game looks beautiful, I think it's worth to see a trailer of it as well. And then you guys will ask a question that we can find in the Steam page. So anyone watching live, after the trailer, we'll have the question. And again, the first person who gets it right will win a free copy of Noir Lives. So would you guys like to see a trailer of your game? And well, Tom and Pontus, would you like to see a trailer of Noir Lives?
Of course.
Absolutely. Of
course. I love the voice acting in it, so let's hear some more of that.
So Noir, I think I have I hope this is the trailer. Yes.
Cats, cartels, and crime. Welcome to Meow Meow Furrington. A city that will just as soon claw your eyes out as lick your face. Explore the hangouts and high points of this feline photopia. Solve the mystery of a murder that threatens to spill into the city like an overturned saucer of milk, and ignite a war between the powerful Montague and Capulet families. And lick things like an overeager kitten in a new house. Lick first and meow questions later. Oh, and definitely solve that murder, too. If there's time. Stretch your legs, clean your whiskers, and dive into Noir Lives. Enjoy a classic point-and-click adventure game full of humor, crazy characters, and intriguing locations. Solve challenging puzzles and answer the immortal question, how many things need to be licked to solve a murder in this crummy town?
Looks pretty decent. I might check it out.
I think that looks okay. So now Guinea Games has said that they're kindly stepping aside, not because they don't want the game, but because they've won a copy game already. So other people have a chance to win 9 Noir Lives. Excuse me. So I suppose, what is the question that you guys have that people can find on the Steam page?
So the question,
William?
it's fine. The question was also in the trailer. The answer was in the trailer. What is the city called of 9 Noir Lives? So what is the city called where this adventure takes place? That's the question.
So, yeah. So, it's interesting as well, the sound that the cat makes as well. It's just putting it out there. And, when you rub them as well, that they would, anyway, probably giving to. So it's,
can you do a cat voice?
Sure. Oh, do you want me to do a cat voice?
What is really? A cat voice?
So you want me to go, meow? Well, actually, there is. We have an answer. I'll put this to you guys. Is it the correct answer? So Darren Bell says the answer is meow meow Farrington.
That's correct.
That's it.
That's exactly it. Congrats.
Congratulations, Darren. I will send you a code afterwards, hopefully on YouTube now. Should have probably asked for I'm sure it'll be okay for, but anyway, so we'll do it afterwards. You've won a copy of 9 Noir Lives, so congratulations, Darren. And again, it was a great game. I played an early access version that you guys kindly sent, and I still love the game. Even though I could finish it, but it wasn't. You're still working and still putting the finishing touches on it. So it looks fantastic as well. So you guys, unfortunately, didn't hear the voice acting in that trailer, which was really good. I suppose a question that I wanted to ask you, Kitty Game says applause and then app pause. Well done, Kitty.
So many cat puns.
Lots of puns. Well, one of the things about all 3 of your games is that they're all traditional point-and-click adventure games. They're, different out of differences. They're comedy, I'd say, or comedic elements. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, first of all, puzzles and gameplay, because there are puzzles in your adventure games as well. The people say nowadays that adventure games are too easy. I think from what I've played of all 3 of your games, I think the difficulty seems about just right. What is your opinion? I suppose I'll ask William and Daniel, since we just saw a trailer of 9 Noir Lives. So how did you approach adding puzzles in? By the way, if anybody in the chat has questions for Pontus, Tom, William, or Daniel, please put them in as well. We'd be happy to hear from you. But my question is, how was your approach to putting puzzles in the game?
The puzzles was one of the trickier things for sure, because it's exactly that problem of what's easy for you could be super difficult for someone else. I'm actually terrible at puzzles. I can't really play puzzle games. Like, I've been stumped by Myst, by Riven, countless adventure games. It just frustrates me because I'm bad at them. Yet here I was helping design an adventure game. So it was, and William is an expert in puzzles. So it was like, basically we took the middle ground between the 2 of us. Like, he would say, no, there's got to be some challenge. I'm like, yeah, but this is too challenging. And then he'd say, no, but this is too easy. So then we'd find a way to make that particular puzzle harder. And then it was just having people actually try it and getting a bunch of feedback from people like you, and just saying, okay, is this hitting where we thought it would? And then we adjusted a few things just before release. And then at some point we were just like, well, we've got story mode. So we do have an option for those people like me who get stuck easily. The story mode all but gives you the answers. So that was sort of the easy mode. But at the end of the day, we couldn't do something like you saw in, for example, not Day of the Tentacle, Thimbleweed Park, where puzzles were fundamentally different on the multiple difficulties. We didn't have the budget or time for that. So we kind of just had to give it our best guess based on past experience and play testing, and then kind of just hope that we hadn't messed up. I mean, there was some concern. I mean, I was worried that, oh, this particular puzzle, everyone's going to get stuck there. We have to do this and this. And William was concerned about a puzzle with a safe where we actually put the answer in 3 different spots in different ways, so that just in case someone missed the first two, they'd get the third one or something like that. And I mean, in the end, I don't think we got any at all. I mean, the reviews were split. So some said, oh yeah, it's a very easy, very straightforward. Other one said, yeah, great challenging puzzles. Another one said far too difficult. So I guess we did all right in the end. You know? I mean,
everyone is complaining.
But the thing is, no one got stuck on one puzzle, and that's a good indicator. You know, everybody got stuck on different puzzles, and the way I designed it is, you know, initially the puzzles are easy. Mid-section is a bit harder, and then the last section is a lot easy. Is very easy because we're now ramping up and we want to get to the end. And the puzzles are also tied to the story as well. You know, it's not just random things that happen, but in the development, we found instances where you would have a goal that you need to do. Like, I think there was a thing, or let me not spoil it, but there was a very obvious thing you could do to solve a thing, but due to the design, you were not allowed to do it. So we had to emphasize that that's not allowed. And that's where signposting comes in, because that's a lot of it. You know, it's just making sure that the player understands what is expected and what is the logical conclusion, you know. And I'm happy with how it ended up. I was a bit worried, like Daniel said, but you know, where we felt that things weren't quite right or people got stuck, it wasn't obvious, we put in extra effort there to make it clearer. You know, that's also why we had the hint system, because then people can go and keep track of what they need to do. Because I know when I play adventure game and I'm stuck, you know, I get frustrated, and that's not what you want to do with the people. A little bit of frustration is good, and then, you know, they go to bed and the next morning they wake up, they go, oh, you know what I can do this and this, and then they try it, and you know, that's how they get to the next section.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you mentioned, that a little bit of frustration, but I don't. Then people, you know, have different opinions. As they said, some people thought that your game was too easy, some thought it was too difficult, others thought, yeah, great challenging puzzles, others, I don't know, thought, yeah, puzzles were fine. But Kenny Games has a question. He said, very interesting having a story mode. Do you know what proportion of players have played it this way? Are you able to, were you able to find out? No.
That's actually a great point. I wish I'd put in analytics for that, but we unfortunately do not know. There isn't an achievement for it either, because I didn't want to incentivize anyone to use it or not. It's meant to be purely a personal choice if you want to or not. Turn it on whenever you want and all that. So I actually don't have any idea. But I would imagine a lowish percentage. Adventure game fans tend to be pretty solid puzzle solvers at this point, you know, because they've done it all. So I think, but the story mode was really there for the odd person who liked cats, didn't know anything about adventure games, but wanted to enjoy our game. Then they could turn on story mode and still have a great time.
But was the story mode like just more hints,
yes,
like more signposting, or did you skip?
Yeah, no, it was just very detailed hints about what to do, almost telling you, go there, do that, but almost just on the verge of that.
I've just literally just made a note of what Daniel was saying. It's like, because when you asked about were you able to kind of track what people did, and like my first thought was like, I don't know how you do that. And when Daniel just mentioned, well, we didn't put an achievement in for that, I'm thinking actually achievement are a really interesting way of kind of putting
out. It's a great way to see how many people have finished your game.
Yeah, well, I've got one in for that, and I've got one in for a couple of like people who've done it without using the hotspot finder. There's a separate achievement for that, but I'd done that not thinking about wanting the data at the end. I've just thought about it as a kind of thing that people might want. So actually an idea of kind of, and I don't want to put achievements in for like
just
time spent on each, you know what I mean? Like, but it's an interesting
1 hour played, 1.5 hours, 2 hours played.
Is there a good like interface to see the achievements? The players' achievements?
I don't know. I mean, there probably is on the back end. I have to go poke around.
You can just go into. I think you can just go into Steam, go into the achievement section, and it will tell you what the kind. It's got like a little graph. It'll order them.
I'm just going to look at that actually.
Kind of like however, like the most kind of scored one, and kind of underneath that. So I've got an idea of which ones people have done, and I know exactly why they've done those and why some of them they haven't, because they're just. Like they're like really difficult to get.
The other option is just to use Steam's own analytics to just bind that to toggling it in the options menu or something. But that.
Now, apologies, we are going over the time, but I'm still enjoying it. So if you guys are willing to carry on a little bit, but of course I know you guys have, families and I don't know, children and other stuff. It's late as well. Nah.
I've got a cat staring me down, and that's the only thing.
Well, actually, there's another question from Sarah, but we'll get to that. First of all, I think we don't do another giveaway, just to keep things going. Shall we? I don't know, Pontus. Would you be willing to, if people get a question about your game correct, would you be willing to give away free code?
Yes, I would.
Perfect. Well, again, like what we've been doing, would you guys like to see a trailer of Justin Wack and a Big Time Hack? There we go. Second time I got it right. That Pontus has probably seen 1,000,001 times. But just to see, for people watching and for you guys as well, just to kind of see, because it's also another game that looks beautiful as well. So would you guys like to see a trailer? Yeah. I hope the answer is yes. But
thanks, guys.
Well, here is a trailer for Justin Wack and a Big Time Hack.
And are you making any progress? Oh yes, I'm closing in on him, Doc. You can be certain of that.
Justin works as an IT support technician. He doesn't really like his work and is still madly in love with his ex-girlfriend Julia. Today, following some microwave space-time tomfoolery, Justin is about to switch places with someone from the past.
Hey! Wait!
Clute's gonna need your help adjusting to modern times.
Gob.
Learning new languages. And making new friends.
Wow, what is that? I love that sound.
And while having a go at online dating, he might just run into Justin's ex-girlfriend.
How's it going, Clute?
Pretty good.
Now, Justin needs your help getting back to his own time. And he also needs help figuring out who it is that keeps sending these scary-looking robots after him.
Come out and face me, Lurker. I'm not afraid.
You will be. You will be. From any timeline.
Check.
In any universe.
And mate. What do you have to say about that, chump?
Justin Wack and the Big Time Hack. A story about time traveling, love, and scary-looking robots.
Hang on, Julia. I'm coming home.
No, forgot that there was a cat in it as well. That there's
I love that logo, and the cat sounds very cute.
A theme going. So congratulations, Pontus, on the release of the game again.
Well, thank you. Felt actually good to see that, because it's seldom that you watch your own trailer, and I bet it's the same for the rest of you guys. That we love our games, but we're also like we associate our games with tons of work and tons of stress and tons of stuff we should get done and blah 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 blah. So, and you probably went through the same thing before releasing. I was like, I might have made a really bad game. Like I was like very uncertain of its quality all of a sudden. It goes up and down. But now, when I looked at it now, I was like, it's a cozy. I like I think it's pretty good.
Exactly that. Yeah. I mean,
you can be proud, I think.
We were really stressed that we'd like overdone it with the narration and the story, because we knew there was a lot. I mean, William expressed concern to me many times, but I'm like, but this is the story, and then this, and we agreed, okay, we're just going to make it a very narrative heavy game. And then as the release approaches, we're like, oh, is this too much? Oh, people are going to hate this. Oh, are they going to get through the first 30 minutes? Oh, it's too much. But in the end, a lot of people enjoyed that aspect of it, which it was a huge relief, because it was exactly that feeling of, well, the game's out in the wild. It's the worst thing ever. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to play it. We're a failure. Everything is terrible.
But it's the imposter syndrome, right? I mean, when I saw The Secret or the Return of Monkey Island, the new Monkey Island one, I was like, oh, it looks so good. Our game. But that's the thing, because you lose perspective, and it is very true, Pontus. Looking back, when you see a thing now, you go, oh, okay, it's not bad. I did that, and I can be proud of it.
I say to William constantly, I say, even if we never make another game, we made a game. How many people make a game? It feels really good. And we didn't, it wasn't a compromise. We made the very particular game we wanted to make. And it feels good.
Yeah, if anything, we all gotten a lot of more respect for any game out there, any person who releases a game. Because you really have to be a bit bonkers to go through.
That's the only thing that keeps you going in year 4, when you're like, all right, time to put 120,000 words into this thing. Let's go.
I feel like I will probably be more nervous about releasing a second game.
The second album.
I think I was also hideously naive, and one of the things I've learned most from kind of post-release is actually how much people care about your game. So I thought, like, as long as it isn't, as long as the amount that someone's paying for it matches the amount of gameplay, and the gameplay isn't completely shit, that, like, they'll look at it and they'll get to the end of it and they go, that passed the time, that was worth the money, and then they'll move on.
51% tick.
And people have got to the end of it, and then they've got, I mean, like, there are some people love the ending, and some people are like, oh, well, I thought this and I thought that, and they kind of, they're really invested in the characters and they really care, and it's made me realize that I've got a much stronger kind of duty of care that I have to have with the game. I've got to handle it a bit more sensitively next time, because this time I kind of just went ahead and went, I'm making a game and no one's really going to care. And if they like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't. But actually, people really got to the end of it and really kind of cared about the game. So I feel like with one, like the next one I've got to make, I've got to bear that in mind. I can't just make something that's really awful.
You're jinxing yourself, man.
No, but you know what I mean?
I
think that's something I've got to be aware of, is that I was a bit kind of flippant about that this time round, and I think I now realise just how much players do care about the characters, and because I like I said, I've not really played that many games recently. I don't remember. Maybe I did care about the game, but also you weren't in a position to kind of let your feelings be known. You know what I mean? We're back in the 90s. The studios would put out a game, you'd buy it a few years later or whenever you could afford it, and you'd play it, and you'd never have any contact. There was never any backwards and forwards. There was no real, there were sort of chat rooms a bit, maybe later on. But, now that you've got that kind of, people can let you know just how they're feeling about your game, that it makes me realize just how important that is. And that's something that I hadn't taken into account. I thought about, it's got to be a bit funny. The puzzle's got to be all right. The artwork's got to be okay. It's got to be enough to just satisfy people. And actually, it's got to be more than that. It's got to leave people with a real sense of having kind of completed a story and gone on a journey with these characters and
gone into a world. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've not written a story since I was in high school, since I was doing my GCSE. So this is the first story I've written. So when people are kind of, critiquing the end of it, I'm like good God, I don't write stories. I just made a game. And it's like putting those two together and realize, actually, that is exactly what I've done. And it's been a real kind of journey of discovery post-release, seeing how people are reacting to it.
I totally understand. The sequel, it's now you have expectation from people. The first game, no one knows about it. No one cares really. It's a good game. People play it. They fall in love with the world. They fall in love with the characters. The sequel, they're excited. They're invested. But now you have a lot more pressure, because you have to now deliver on that expectation. And that's part of the challenge. So I totally get what you're saying.
And the better your first game was, the harder it's going to be with the at least expectation wise. But yeah, we got to keep it. We got to keep it creative and fresh. Let's not psych our.
The pressure. The pressure.
Don't jinx it, man.
Well, I think Pontus.
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, this is great.
The question.
Hey,
sorry.
You guys are doing my work for me. I think I might do this again in future. No, I think you have a question. So if people, again, I don't know if people are still watching live. If you are and you want to have a chance of winning Justin Wack and a big time hack, which we've just seen in the trailer, now's your chance. Get the keyboard ready, because Pontus has a question which I don't know if it's going to be difficult, but you're going to have to check through the Steam page. A link is in the chat. So open up that now and listen to the question. So Pontus, over to you.
Cool. And if there's no one watching live now, it can go on. If we do this, if you have this on the podcast and no winner has been announced,
Sure. Maybe you could still win on the podcast.
Because it might be a bit hard, but in my game, in Justin Wack and the Big Time Hack, there's like an NPC that takes care of the hint system for you. So you like converse with an NPC to get hints. And my question is, this NPC, she's sitting in an office building answering your call on like a call center situation, and behind her there are posters. One of a very famous point and click adventure game, and one more specifically of a very, very famous point and click adventure puzzle. And I'm going to make it so hard to ask what's the game, what's the well-known game behind her, and what's the well-known puzzle behind her.
So this can be seen on the Steam page as well. If you look through the Steam page, you can see. So there's a game. So what is a famous game behind Dyla?
Dyla, yeah.
Dyla, and what is the puzzle? So we shall see. So I mean, I can put that in the chat. So it's game and puzzle that is on the store page. For, again, if anybody gets this when we're watching live and you're listening or watching after, I do apologize. We could do something like this afterwards. But while people are looking through that, there's a question. Well, first of all, Darren with Kitty Games says, looks pretty good. Darren Bell then says, it's awesome game. And he said a second-hand store owner had a very unique way of asking for monies. Don't know if I said that correctly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of references there. There's a Larry David reference there, the pretty good that someone picked up. And the store owner there, that's a Stan, the waving the hands thing I think they're referring to, and some freak out sessions about, a big bunch of monies, exclamations. It's we went a bit crazy there. Those exclamations, those like chats about small bunches of money and medium-sized bunches of money and all that was me and the guy who did the voice acting for that role getting like sleepy and being like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this weird thing? I just had this idea. And he tried it, and I'm like, I like it. Do it 10 times more extreme. I'm like, yeah. This is going to be great. And then in the end, in the sober daylight afterwards, I'm like, it might work. And I tried it, and I'm like, yeah, I like it. It's going in there.
Yeah, very nice. Well, Kitty Game says, I hope Seoirse would try his hand at a Larry David impression. Oh no, I don't even know. I mean, sure, I do, but no, I don't think anybody wants that. If any of you guys want to do a Larry David impression, Pontus or Tom or William or Daniel,
you've been typecasted as the impression.
I don't know why.
We don't have your range.
Yeah, I know
your range.
Your years of training.
If anybody wants a voice actor, can do impressions. Well, while people are hopefully searching for the answer, if you're watching live, again, what is a game and puzzle in the background Zayla's office? If nobody gets this, then I guess we can put this on the podcast. I will say this in the outro. Oh wait, we have an answer. I think Olivier YC. He says the game is Maniac Mansion.
Okay.
It's really hard to see the puzzle. He says, "Is it the goat puzzle from Broken Sword?"
Boom! It is.
So well done, Olivier YC. Wow. Justin Wack is yours. So thank you for that. It was kind of hard to see, but you can just see the goat puzzle there.
Yeah, I think the question might have been harder than I thought, because now that I look at it, it's like I'm used to seeing it in a more more high resolution. I think on the screen now, it's good.
Good one, Olivier. There. Well, we have one more game giveaway to give later on. I think that will be open to everyone as well. But the question that Darren has, and we can ask you, Pontus, since we're talking about your game, is do you consider using a hotspot indicator as using a hint?
I don't. I think those, for me, those are, I want to say, I really like them. So I use them in the game, and I've got used to them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's, but I don't think of them as hints. I think of them as avoiding, pixel hunting, which is like, for me, just a bad side effect of these games. The mechanics of
they're evil. Just they shouldn't exist at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then I have to say that I played, I think it was a game that I really enjoyed in our genre, which was Voodoo Detective.
Yes.
Which, if I remember, that's the one I really enjoyed, and it didn't have those. I think I might be mixing these up, but I played one that I really enjoyed, which didn't have them, because there weren't that many hotspots in every scene. So you kind of naturally gravitated towards where it would be. But in general, I do appreciate them.
Well, sorry, a Kinney Game says here, Tom looks unconvinced. So over to you then, Tom. What is...
I suppose it depends on.
Are we going to have a fight here?
So if you've got a game which has, 10 or so hotspots in a scene, then using a hotspot finder, I suppose, is asking the question. I suppose, like in my game, mine's got tons and tons of hotspots, so I suppose people end up using it more to avoid pixel hunting, because there are so many different things that you technically could be interacting with. I suppose it depends on where you draw the line. I think any hint. I've watched people go through my game a lot quicker because they use the hotspot finder, and they don't just use it to avoid pixel hunting. They use it as a way to kind of bypass and go, right, I now know I need that, and that, and then they'll kind of apply their logic to that rather than exploring. And it's a way of kind of shortcutting exploring as well. And I've noticed then they'll miss important kind of signposting or breadcrumbs that are in there that give them the motivation. So they'll kind of start, and this is part of playing an adventure game, is you'll watch people kind of go, well, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do, and they'll kind of complete the puzzle before they've even got the motivation to go. Like they'll go, well, I know I need to do this. It's like, well, at the moment you're supposed to be doing this. No one's told you need to go and capture an eagle, but all of a sudden you've got the whole kind of scenario where you're trying to make a snare and get some bait and well, hang on a minute, you're supposed to be reading a book, and all of a sudden you're they'll go off on one. And I find that the hotspot finder does that, in that it allows people to collect all the things before they've necessarily got the motivation or the narrative kind of reason to do that. So maybe that's just sort of the shortcomings that I had with my hotspot finder, is that they weren't necessarily contextual to the narrative. So you could go and pick up, or you would know that an object was going to be important in the future, even if you couldn't do anything with it now. And kind of people, I don't know. They are definitely a type of hint, and I think it just depends on how the player uses them. If they use it just to avoid pixel hunting, fine, but then it will also, it can't help but give you clues, because you go, oh, I've not even thought about that being important. Now it is, oh, right, now I understand that must do something about this, or it must be associated with this, or something. It doesn't always help, because people will often go off on one and they'll think of a solution and go, well, I've got to go in this, I've got to find a way of doing this, and you're thinking, bloody hell, that would have been a really good puzzle. And I wish I'd thought of that. But that's not what you've got to do. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on the player. I personally, I don't, although my game has got one, I don't, and I would probably use one in a game. It would also, a part of my soul would die every time I used it, even though I would need to, because I'm so awful at playing adventure games. I would know by the time I got to the end of it, I hadn't really done it for myself. So it's strange. But the main reason I included it was because the way that people play varies so much, and if you've got if you're kind of relying, from a publicity point of view, you're relying hopefully on people streaming it and playing it live, and the last thing that a live streamer wants to do is spend 3 hours being stuck and walking about between 2 or 3 scenes for a stream, because that's not entertaining for anyone. So they can ask the chat, but then the last thing they want to be doing is go, oh, hang on a minute, let me just look up a walkthrough, and then go, oh, right, here we go, we're going to do this. Because that's, again, that kind of loses the momentum. So at least if you can kind of go, well, let's just have a quick check in this scene, was there anything I missed? And that's how most people tend to use it. And that kind of helps to kind of keep the momentum going. So that's why I've included it. And I would almost definitely use it myself, because I am awful at adventure games, but I wouldn't have that same sense of achievement. So I'd say in my own head, they are a hint. That was the question.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
I caveat it enough there.
I think in a very story-driven game that relies more on the progression of the story rather than puzzles, they wouldn't be needed, maybe. But and I don't enjoy the fact, when I saw it the first time, I felt like a bit like, that might be a bit too much. That stops me from looking at the graphics as the graphics, but rather than just the function they have in the game. And it does like break down a bit of the illusion, like it does make it more technical. But all things considered, like in a regular, like standard point and click, I would that could actually be like something that I like. If there's a lot of hotspots, that could be a breaker for me. Like,
yeah.
So yeah.
And you don't have to use it. So you know what I mean? It's offering it. It's like having the story mode. It's like you if you can offer that, you massively widen the audience that you're appealing to, because you're not just talking to the hardcore puzzle solvers. You're talking to people who just like the narrative side of things, and that allowing people to kind of have that different sort of staging or different kind of steps of difficulty helps. So I mean I kind of went with a fairly limited option, in that it's just a hotspot finder. There isn't a kind of an easy mode or a story mode in mine. But having, absolutely having that, and it's as long as it's optional, I think is a great thing to be able to include. Definitely.
Imagine if you could only press it like 3 times in the game.
Well, quite like that. Yeah, but then people would save it. But then you'd have to. Oh yeah, you could save it in the config, couldn't you? Sorry, I'm just sort of technical, but yeah, you could limit it. Yeah,
getting ideas for the next games then. Well, before we move on to the question about lucid dreaming, William or Daniel, do you guys have any thoughts about this? Because I know that I believe it was in Noir Lives you had a hotspot indicator,
for sure.
highlighter. So what are your thoughts as well? And maybe after making the game and seeing people play it, do you think it's considered a hint? And what are your thoughts on it?
I think it gives options, and that's really the key thing. When you play an adventure game, there's a point that you reach a frustration point. And then at that point, us as developers, it's our responsibility to give the player options. What options do they have? Okay, they can press the hotspot finder and they can find things. That's one. They can go to the journal and they can go and look at what needs to happen. You can make sure that you've had enough signposting. So even 3 or 4 signposts for the puzzle, if need be. Then if they take the time to go and talk to characters again, or try random stuff on things, you can sort of through that point them to the correct locations. I don't think it's inherently good or bad. I just think it's another tool for you as a game developer to help them focus on where they need to focus, and that's invaluable, because you don't want them to go and Google a walkthrough. And it's once again, when we started, our inexperience was, the first few screens or the first 40 minutes of the game, it was just, there were like 20 hotspots on the screen, because we thought, oh, but that wasn't even close to what it should be. So this is also something you learn, but it's an option. And I think it's one that it's good if players have that, because if they don't have that, then, they might go and Google the stuff and get frustrated, and you don't really want that.
What's interesting about all these sorts of systems, though, is there's always a subset of players, and it's usually single-digit players, but they want an option to turn these things off entirely in such a way that they can't even turn them back on during the game. So they want to lock themselves out of this. And I mean, I could sort of understand why, but I also can't, because you can just not do the thing. But I guess maybe they don't trust themselves, and they want to make sure that they've got no recourse but to figure it out. But then if they do get stuck, then they're going to have to pick up a walkthrough, like William says. And that's, at that point, you basically failed at game design if someone has to go look up a walkthrough, I feel. So, yeah, it's interesting that tiny subset that want an option to lock themselves out of options. I've never quite understood that. But that's more of an adjunct to what we're discussing.
Yeah, no, sorry,
Daniel,
Pontus,
can I just say, you have a beautiful sounding crickets in the background, right?
Oh, yes. It's I must just say Christmas.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, Christmas here means sun and pool and watermelon. So I'm currently sitting outside in the garden. It's about 25, 26 degrees, beautiful sun, beautiful cloudless evening. This is summer in Africa. Wow. Christmas in Africa, rather.
I'm quite glad you don't have a webcam at the moment, because
I do. Perhaps I should turn it on briefly and give you a.
No, it's fine.
The sound reminds me of Maniac Mansion. Outside of Maniac Mansion, there were crickets.
Oh, look! Oh,
so we got our Christmas lights up. But
that's beautiful.
Unfortunately, I can't really show you the sky because it's pitch black. But yeah, you can hear the crickets and.
Oh, that's
see
beautiful.
Me, just about see me there, but yeah.
Oh, there you are.
No, that's because it's, I'm sure like in England and Sweden, it's a bit cold in Ireland, a bit chilly now in December. But anyway, I know I've kept you guys on for a long time. Final question, final giveaway. Tom. Sorry. First of all, we can show a trailer if you guys have time. Yeah, Lucid Dreaming, or would we? No, okay, no.
I've seen it before.
You've seen it a long time. Okay, let's put it. Pontus, William, and Daniel. Would you guys like to see a trailer of Lucid Dreaming?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, here's a trailer. This and people watching live, if anybody still is watching live, make sure to click on the link or just go to Lucid Dreaming on Steam, and we'll have a question right after this trailer.
Hello there. A pint of your finest ale, please, barkeep. Ooh, giant sprinkles. I bloody love queuing me.
Well, that's just doubled my workload.
I think I'd better start running. You mean like a bear?
Don't bring me into this!
The subconscious works in strange and convenient ways.
Hey up, fancy your wallet?
He looks like a giant green bucket with eyes. I imagine it'd be terrifying for small children. Please stop that.
That's great.
This isn't Thimbleweed Park. Or Indiana Jones, for that matter.
That was a trailer for Lucy Dreaming. Darren Bell says, another awesome game, which indeed it is. And he said, thanks for the in-depth answers, guys. So now before we finish up, would you like me to do an impression of Lucy Dreaming, Tom?
Is this an impression of my wife doing an impression of a small girl?
Well, if you put it like that.
Please do.
That's not weird.
Let me just record this because I.
Oh no! No, I don't think I will do an impression. I mean, after all, what would I be doing? Do an impression of Lucy Dreaming? Sorry.
Not bad.
I think it sounded.
That was beautiful.
I think if you're making Lucy Dreaming 2, she's going to have a sister, and I think I'm going to play.
You're going to be the beautiful sister. Okay, I got that.
Yeah, I think your game will sell really, really well if you add me as the voice of, the main. I think I could be the main star. But
is that a Welsh accent she's got, Tom?
It's like a Northern English accent. So, okay. She's so my wife who did the voice. She's from kind of around Greater Manchester area. But the accent is more kind of Yorkshire, Lancashire.
Oh yes, I see.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's interesting because of course down here we don't hear those accents at all. But my husband and I are huge fans of panel shows, so we hear everything we know about accents we've learned from British panel shows. So I'm always interested to see which area particular accents from.
Yeah, it's kind of northern English, northwest as well. So it's so different because when you go in like northeast, you kind of end up more kind of Geordie, sort of Newcastle kind of thing. But yeah, it's amazing actually the amount of variety that there is in such a small island.
It is really insane. I mean, there's
weird.
Like
yeah,
30 or 40 distinct regional accents, and it's this tiny island.
Yeah, you go on the motorway for half an hour, and all of a sudden you can't understand anyone at all. It's bizarre.
Oh, it's similar in Ireland. We're an even smaller island, and if you go just even 20 minutes down the road, it could have a completely different accent. If you go to Cork, it's like what is and Kerry, and you're like, wait, what are you saying? There are jokes. There are farmers from Kerry. When they're interviewed on the news, and I was like, I can't understand a single thing that guy is saying.
I've seen a few of those. It's quite funny.
There's an Irish YouTuber called Call Me Kevin who has done exactly that. He's pulled up videos of Cork farmers being interviewed and translates for you. And even he's like, give me a second with this one. Let me very thick accents.
Oh, it's but anyway, I think Tom, I think Darren Bell has accidentally given away the answer for our question.
All right, we'll have a different one then.
We'll have a different question. So the question was going to be which famous voice actor. Actually, we could still do it, but which famous voice actor appears in Lucy Dreaming? It is Dominic Armato. And I'll ask Darren Bell's question in just a second. Do you have another question that people can find on the Steam page?
Let me just have a quick look.
We could go with the first question.
I was going to say, go with the first question. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in terms of the...
If anyone's still watching, of course.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I'll just let me just read my own Steam page for 15 minutes. Go on then. We'll go with our original, which is very similar to the Nine Noir Lives one, which is what is the name of the small northern British town where Lucy lives.
Okay,
obviously, if you already own the game and you know the answer to this, don't spoil it for everyone. Just let the other people who aren't actually watching have a go.
Well, that would be difficult, but yeah. So if people have, well, I suppose this is open to anyone. Darren says, sorry.
Absolutely, yeah. You can give it if you get a free copy of it. You can give it away to friends at.
That's if you wanted to do it. If nobody gets the answer, I'd say in a few minutes. If someone who has played the game can get the answer, and then they can give it away to someone else. We could do that. Well, while people are searching, hopefully, if there's still people watching, Darren Bell. So again, the question is, which fictional town is Lucy Dreaming set in? And the answer is on the Steam page. So again, this is open to anybody watching. Darren Bell asks, while we're waiting for the answer, before we finish up, could you ask Tom how many times has he been able to get 3 wallops on the Goose Wallop minigame? And how did he get Dominic Guybrush Threepwood Armato involved in the game? Now, I think you went through that in a previous interview that we did.
Not the Goosey Wallop one, I haven't. No, my 7-year-old son he's nailed Goosey Wallop, so he can get that goose proper every time. He's got the timing on it. It's easier. I feel it's easier on a touch screen, and I don't know why. It just feels like you're actually kind of hitting.
Okay, so I'm playing it on my Steam Deck.
He's been testing it on a Switch, Nintendo Switch dev kit that we've got, that we've been sort of doing testing it on, and he's managed to get it more times on that and on the iPad than I. I don't think Emma, who's my wife, who's the voice of Lucy, I don't think she's managed to get 3 wallops at all. Actually, I've managed it maybe 3 or 4 times. I had to put the hours in to be able to do it, to test it, to make sure that it did work. But it's not. And I've had some people who've been kind of a bit annoyed by it because they've assumed that it was mandatory. You had to do this kind of little mini game to complete the game. And I think even one of the reviews that I've had, I think it was a Spanish review, sort of kind of was a bit pissed off that they'd obviously spent a large amount of time trying to wallop this goose 3 times. Just for anyone who's sort of not seen, it's a game that it's a mini game that's only in the game because my 7-year-old, he's 8 now, but he was 7 at the time, requested that I put in it. So I've created this little kind of Village Fate sort of scene, and there's a game in there which I just wrote Goosey Wallop and put a picture of a goose and a mallet on it. I thought that's fine. That sounds like the sort of thing you'd get at a Village Fate in England. And then when my son was kind of testing it very early on, was kind of looking and going, why can't I play this game? Why I need to be able to play this game? Right, okay. Fine. So it's not. I mean, I know it's he's not the kind of creative director of the studio, but also I feel like I'm kind of obliged. There's now a fully solvable Rubik's Cube in there purely because he can't even do a Rubik's Cube, but he wanted me to make it so that it could be done. So I then had to learn all the algorithms of how to. I can solve a Rubik's Cube now because I had to learn it, so I could.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, so you have to. So essentially, it's a goose on a wheel that spins, and you have to hit it 3 times in the head with a mallet. It's but it's apparently it's quite hard. Although we were talking about achievements, I think it is the second most achieved achievement.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think the reason for that is because probably down to maybe slightly shoddy dialogue and puzzle design, people believe that they have to do it in order to progress the game when they don't. And then they probably spend hours on it and they go, oh, great, you've got a Steve achievement. And they're like, what? I've wasted hours of my life trying to wallop a goose. But then also, that's quite funny.
I'm looking forward to getting to that part. Well, first, before we get to the second part of his question, Kitty Game says, I got it. I presume he's meaning the answer and haven't played, but again, I've already won one. Nobody else has given the answer. So, I mean, what do you guys think? If Kitty gives the right answer, do we give him?
If he knows the answer,
he's already won one, but nobody else has given the answer. I think Darren Bell has already played. If anybody, I would say whoever gets the answer first who hasn't played it.
And I will also reveal at this point there is the fictional town where she lives. It has its own website as well. So if you kind of search for it on Google, I think you find a couple of if you did a search for it, there's like a couple of recipes weirdly that appear, which is straight, and there are a couple of people who have a similar surname to that which appear. But I think generally, I think now the main website appears as, and it's like an old kind of throwback website from the 90s. So there's like a guest book you can go and sign on it, and it's just horrendously designed on purpose.
Oh well, I'd look forward to trying it out. We can
go and have a
put
look.
it. Well, Guinea Game says okie dokie. Figgington. Is that the correct answer, Tom?
It is the correct answer. It is Figgington.
Well done, Kiddie Games. Well done, Will. You'll be getting 2 adventure games, Unknown Number and Lucy Dreaming. So congratulations. Now, Darren Bell has 2. The second part of the question, I don't know how much time. I know that it's getting late. How did you get Dominic Guy Retreat and Armato involved in the game? Whew. Now, you did answer. You and Emma did answer this when we spoke live few weeks ago.
Short answer, we asked him and he said yes. And then this was before any of us knew, before anyone knew that there was a new Monkey Island game on the horizon. He's a really he's one of the world's nicest men anyway. So when kind of Monkey Island was announced, I sent him an email straight away and said, yeah, are we still good? Are we still good for a voiceover? And he was like, yeah, no, you asked me first, that's fine. So that wasn't a worry. It was a worry for about 5 minutes, but it was but yeah, no, it was logistically, it was a very hard job in terms of administration, dealing with the Screen Actors Guild in America from the UK. So having to deal with the kind of the payroll, pension contributions, Social Security, health insurance, all of that sort of stuff. It all has to be, we all had to deal with all of that kind of via a third party kind of company in the States and the union. So that was a kind of a long slog, and I think that's one of the main reasons, probably the only reason really, that he hasn't done more voiceover work. I know he wants to do more, and I know he's kind of hoping to kind of put more of a reel together to do more voiceover work. And I think that's the main barrier that's kind of stood in the way, is just literally the amount of paperwork that was involved. We obviously just had the stamina. Emma had the stamina and saw it through, and we managed to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and eventually did it. And I didn't announce it until after we'd had all the studio time, every single line was in the can, and I had the sound files, and we'd approved and we paid him, and everything was done. It's like, right now I can tell people, because it was, at any point I felt like the rug could just be kind of pulled out from under us, and we'd end up with another, load of contracts to sign or something. So it was just a long kind of administration paper trail. Not the most exciting story.
But well done, and I'm sure it was worth it in the end.
It was, yeah. It was worth it just because he's just lovely. I got to have chats with him, and he's just a really thoroughly nice, intelligent, conscientious, clever, funny guy. It's just it's been a real pleasure working with him.
Well, hopefully I can get him on the podcast. I cannot guarantee anything because
have you asked him?
I have, but I had to go through, Devolver, and that was a bit awkward. That was during.
Just send him an email.
I'll send him another email, and because I had to go, going through the publishers, and they were lovely as well, but it was.
Is that because you wanted to talk about Monkey Island? If you didn't want to talk about Monkey Island specifically,
I'll send him another email and ask him, hey, do you want to talk about Lucy Dreaming? Wink, wink.
I want your favorite recipes for voice acting.
True. Yeah, well, I'll get in touch with him. I cannot promise anything because I can't force people to join the podcast, but Anyway, I know that I'm keeping you guys way past what I said I would, but so to finish off, before we go, for Christmas and New Year's, and before Daniel goes to the beach, because apparently it's summer over there in South Africa.
Tomorrow we're going to a water park. Just saying.
Okay, I think I can mute people here.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. Thanks.
It's sometimes it's a curse having perfect summer weather. It's a burden I carry heavily, but I do it.
But very quickly, one of my previous housemates was from New Zealand, and she said that she only realized that Christmas was cold in the other part of the world was after watching Harry Potter when it was snowing. Because she said we go for barbecues on Christmas Day, and I'm like, yeah, I hate you.
It's a much better way to have Christmas, honestly. I think the whole world should start doing it.
I am not going outside and cooking stuff on a barbecue at the moment.
I can tell you that here in Sweden, the sun is more like a myth that we dream about, really.
William's been there for midwinter for a few months. He's told me the stories.
I'd love to go.
It's like 10 o'clock to around 2 o'clock you get sun, and it's dark. That is the weirdest thing. It's like 3 o'clock and you look out and it's dark and your body's like, nighttime, dinner, sleepy time, and then you wake, but I haven't been awake that long, so it messes up your body as well. But yeah.
Need more vitamin D.
Yeah, we think we have it bad, Tom, in England and Ireland.
But it's very pretty. I mean, in December there, the lights, it is magical. I mean, it is so
you can
pretty.
see the lights because of all the darkness, so yeah. All bang for the buck for electricity.
Well, before I let you go, I'll go through each one of you. Pontus, I'll ask you all the same question. Now that you've released the game and it's got great reviews and all, are you thinking about making another game, or are you still, sipping your martini, watching the money and the reviews roll in? Or are you done making games now? Is this like, no, this is a once off?
So the plan was always to make like what I said before. Like I really find that this is what I wanted to do my whole life ever since I was a kid. Like this is like it took me quite a while to do it, but now I'm finally like working in the genre that I always wanted to work in. So I'm very happy about it. But when the first question you asked, like how it feels to now be game developers, in some sense we were more game developers before we released. Now we're just lamenting over we should have done this, and why is that still and porting to strange platforms that takes a lot longer than we hoped and whatnot. But yeah, it feels great. And the next, I've already started messing about a bit just to keep my sanity. I've started messing about with. I have 2 new game ideas that I'm like kind of playing around with. So one of them will probably become a reality at some point.
Okay, and that game is exclusive on the pod. No kidding.
Yeah, maybe a bit. Maybe
later.
Not quite now, but maybe at some other point.
Great. Well, look, we hope to hear very soon what you're working on, and the very best of luck with that. And
thank you very much.
The same for you guys, William and Daniel. Now that you've released Noir Lives, now we were speaking before recording that story arc finishes. It has a very good ending, but then there's also a little teaser about a possible sequel and in a possible interesting location, which is very different to the first game. I don't know if I'm giving too much away. I don't know. I'll stop talking. I'll put it to you guys. Are you guys considering making a second, or again, like with Pontus, you're still resting, you're still getting a breather after 5 years?
You know,
working on Noir Lives?
I've actually got in an L2 document, a kit design document, and I've started on it. But the thing is, it's all still fun right now. Unfortunately, the game, the first one needs to make a certain amount before it's even feasible to start developing a sequel. So that needs to happen first. But I mean, this has always been a longer story with the characters, and we've got exciting stuff for the sequel, and it's really great stuff. Really. I think people will love it, but things need to happen. Maybe we do a Kickstarter, but what I'm not going to do is what I did with the first game, is upfront fund it. It's not the way to go. So maybe Kickstarter. Maybe if the game has recouped more cost and I've had a year or two to just relax with the stress of releasing the first one, then yes. But I mean, I do want to revisit that world. We love it. Daniel, I don't know if you want to add anything there.
No, he doesn't want to work in another game. Sorry.
Surprised.
It was a crazy amount of work, but writing those characters is really fun. I mean, Cuddles and Tabby, such a fun duo to write, and I would not be able to resist writing them again if the opportunity arose. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, look, I really hope so. Anyone watching or listening afterwards, go out and buy the game. We want these guys to make more. As Tom, you were saying earlier, that if people play the game and buy the game then as well, you could make more games. So I just really want you guys to keep working. I really enjoyed Noir Lives 1, so I really, really hope that that it does well, it makes its money, and they can work on another one, or you go through a Kickstarter. I think, well, it's better if you guys can make the money, because that's what it deserves. So the very, very best of luck with that. And then Tom, I know you've just released Lucy. You've spoken about all your not troubles, but how you went about making it, getting Dominic Armato and that as well. But would you consider making another game, either Lucid Dreaming 2 or another, or are you like, no?
I wouldn't consider making a Lucid Dreaming 2. I feel I although from a pragmatic point of view, with Emma doing the voiceover, that was a huge benefit for us in terms of the cost, because that's where voiceover is where a lot of the kind of the cost lie with it. I don't at the moment. I don't have an idea that I feel would work with that. So, but I do have an idea for another game which I'm hoping to look at next year.
Ooh.
So we were able to kind of start working on Lucy Dreaming without too much kind of upfront investment. So I think we can definitely look at getting kind of a demo or something together, and then maybe look at Kickstarter again and that sort of thing, and just see how we go. But there's an idea, but I'm not giving anything away with that. But it won't be a Lucy Dreaming sequel, I don't think.
Okay, with something original. Intriguing. I'm looking forward to finding out more. Okay, well, look, it's been 2 hours that I've kept you guys. I've really, really enjoyed it. So thank you to, again, Pontus Wittenmark, Tom Hardwidge, William, and Daniel for joining us. And I'd say, look, play those games. Congratulations to the winners of the games. I probably should have thought about this beforehand, but let's see how I can get into. Well, I know Kinney Games, and then Darren and Olivier. I have to see how I can get in touch with you guys. Don't know if we can get in touch on YouTube, but again, you guys can chat to on Twitter or Facebook as well. We will see, but we will send you the codes for those games as well. Thanks for everyone else for joining us. Darren Bell says, really enjoyed the stream. Thanks, everyone. Kinney says, fun chat. Thanks all. Thanks for hosting Seoirse, and congratulations on your game launches, devs. See you around. And the very best of luck to Kinney. I would mention to everyone as well, play the demo of Signal and Echo as well. That is a really good demo. I really, really enjoyed it as well. I would encourage people to check that as well. And well, Merry Christmas to everyone. Enjoy the snow, Pontus, and Daniel, enjoy the barbecue on the beach. And so that is that's it for I think this year. Thank you everyone for looking for the for supporting the podcast, supporting adventure games like Justin Wack, Lucy Dreaming, and Noir Lives, and plenty of others as well. And we will we'll be in touch. This will also be available in audio, which people might be listening to now. And we will keep in touch, hopefully with all you guys as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Guys,
Great talking to you.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.